This is another Frank collab.
All the talk in our house was about, how can we make money? And
Really?
we used to go to the movies, it was the old type movie theatres, the wooden floor, and change would always fall out of people's pockets. So you'd hang around the movie theatre till a movie came out, sneak in there and pick up all the money off the floor.
So money's always been the driver?
Well, not money per se, but the things you can do with it. I just knew that I wasn't going to get given anything, so I had to go get it if I wanted it.
Good at school?
No.
No. Hated it?
Hated it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
We owed the bank, I think it was about 15 million bucks in those days, something like that. And so they said, look, we're going to keep a closer eye on you. So they sent a guy in. In those days, you paid by cheque. We weren't allowed to sign a cheque without his say-so. No matter how big the problem is, we can work this out somehow. But someone tells you got cancer, you're thinking, oh shit, this is a big problem. Maybe I need a Bentley now. So I found this Bentley Azure.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to have one of those at the end of this. So I put it on the inside of my wardrobe door, the picture of it. Every day, open the wardrobe door, there's the picture.
People in business who are in charge of a team, what would your advice be to them, how to lead?
If you get A people in you, then you accidentally get a B or a C person, that person's not going to fit in, they're going to leave anyway. Whereas if you get a lot of B and C graders, they're not going to know an A grader if they tripped over one. If you're going to give to charity, give it to someone who can really be something that's sort of helping humanity go forward and, rewarding something great.
It seems like every single thing that's in your life starts from this really humble beginning, then to this, what's the best thing that could happen? And then you drive towards that. Like even when you give even your charity giving ends up being in a Formula One success story. Welcome to Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Rado. Today's guest has spearheaded companies like 42 Below, Turner's Car Auctions and Ecoya Candles have taken them to multi-million-dollar selling companies.
Yeah, and he brings ambition, resilience, and a love of all things fast. He's the owner of 52 Ferraris.
Crazy.
Today's guest is Grant Baker.
Grant Baker, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Stand Up Again with Sophie and Nick Rado.
It's amazing to have you here.
And
thanks for inviting me.
No worries at all. We kind of want to start at the beginning.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about your barefoot Kiwi childhood days and what made you who you are today. So could you take us back early days?
Well, early days, the sort of where I've got the most memories is we used to live in Bayswater.
Right.
So my parents used to move around quite a lot. My father's job used to make us move around a lot, but they were also property investors. So they'd did the Kiwi thing of buying a house and doing it up and then moving to another one, and we didn't stay in the same area.
Right.
So we lived in quite a few places, but the sort of place we spent the longest time was Bayswater.
Okay.
And I used to go to Bayswater Primary, and we lived in a little dead-end street that was sort of on a tidal estuary down there, and it was a great place to grow up as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was pretty unsupervised as a kid because my father was working, my mother was working, so you just sort of ran wild, really.
Free range.
Yeah, you just do whatever you wanted. And I used to walk to school every day, so at Bayswater Primary, I've gone back and measured it, so it's about 3.5 k's from our house. So I used to walk there every morning and walk home every night, with my friends. And you hear all these stories today about kids don't have any shoes. Well, I never had any shoes. We used to go there barefoot.
Yeah.
And it was a badge of honour to go barefoot. If you wore shoes, you're a sissy.
Yeah.
And I stood on lots of nails and got a few tetanus injections and those sort of things. But it was that sort of childhood where you could just do what you want. We had a little dinghy and we'd go down the estuary and, had a bike, which, in those days you didn't have to wear a helmet or anything. So you ride around on your bike. My parents wouldn't let me ride it to the school because they thought the road was too dangerous. But we used to hoon around other places on it.
How much of it was guided by your parents going into what you're doing now, or figuring it out by yourself, or a bit of both? Work ethic from your parents? Like what did you inherit, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it was guided. It was just sort of like leading by example. So, my parents, like my mother left school at 15 and she was quite bright at school, quite intelligent, but because she was a girl in those days, you leave school at 15. And her brother, he became an academic. He became a professor of physics and ended up as a professor in University of North Carolina.
Wow.
So he sort of got all the help, and my mother was left 15, you better find a job.
Yeah.
And my father did school till like the 7th form. I think they called it standard 6 or something in those days. But
yes. I think it's year 13 now. I think.
Year 13. Yeah. So Yeah, that was sort of them, but they were upwardly mobile. They wanted to get ahead. And my grandparents, particularly my mother's parents, were sort of go-ahead type people too.
Right.
They came from Invercargill and moved to Auckland and, sort of came from being poor to being kind of middle class. And then my parents were sort of trying to do the same thing. So it was sort of lead by example, and all the talk in our house was about, how can we make money? And
Really?
yeah, my father tried all sorts of things. He bought a meter reading business. You do around reading water meters. He did drain laying. He had a drain laying business. And so, we talked about business a lot. So it was sort of lead by example.
And not just one industry. It sounds like it was dabbling at a few different things, not just one set career path, which is quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, they try everything. And the way it kind of shaped me is sort of listening. But you had to, they wouldn't pay for anything for me. So anything you wanted to do, it's like, well, if you want to do that, you need money. And if you need money, you better go and get a job. So I was pretty keen on making money because I wanted to do things and buy things and that sort of stuff. So we used to do some naughty things, I can remember we used to go to the movies and, it was the old type movie theatres, the wooden floor, and change would always fall out of people's pockets. So you'd hang around the movie theatre till a movie came out, sneak in there and pick up all the money off the floor. And, you'd find bottles. It's when you used to get a refund for bottles. You'd take it into the dairy and, get some money back. And
I mean, that's showing lots of entrepreneurial skills. It's like, okay, how can I make some money quick and with low resources to begin with? I mean, that's entrepreneurial. We have a son, actually both our kids do it. They pick all the feijoas and they sit at the end of the driveway and they just sell feijoas until it gets dark. And I kind of think, good on you, because I don't think I'd have been doing that. I definitely worked from 14. I used to sell ballet shoes in my dance studio. They had a little shop. But to see our kids do that, especially our son, he seems to be like, I want to make money, I'll go and do it. I feel like that's a skill set, the entrepreneurial mindset. Would you say that was something you would describe yourself as a kid, or it was just you didn't know any different?
I'd never heard that word before, for sure.
That's true.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to spell.
But
it is hard to spell.
It is hard to spell.
Yeah.
It's got that R in a funny place, isn't it?
Where does the U go? No one knows.
But I just knew that I wasn't going to get given anything, so I had to go get it if I wanted it. So I just grew up with that mentality. I didn't think there was any alternative. So you just had to get on. I mean, my parents have passed away now, and I inherited a bit of money from them. But while they were alive, right through my life, they never gave us anything, and I've been through some pretty hard times, and it was bad luck. You better sort it out. Yeah.
I want to come to that later on in the interview as well. We'll put a pinhole on that because that's really interesting. Because parenting advice with kids is, especially when it comes to money, is really interesting. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But schooling, good at school? No, hated it.
Hated it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because people told me what to do, and I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's obvious things you need to be able to read and you need to be able to write and subtract and multiply and all those sort of things is important. But as it went on, so I think I probably like primary school was fine, but as you go into high school, something that's trigonometry and chemistry, and I'm just thinking, what the hell? I don't need to know any of that. And I was always quite a good reader, still am. So I used to sort of have my own curriculum just by reading books I like reading and, getting information that way. And they don't teach you things like you should know, like financial literacy.
Yes.
I mean, you learn nothing about the stock market or economics or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
lacking.
You learn. Remember when my kids were at school, especially my youngest son, who's sort of science and maths type guy. He's like, English literature. I don't care what Shakespeare said. It's just like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, he was weird. He was like a straight A student, and he was a D student in English. Just like, I don't want to know that.
So with that in mind, then, so hated school, and then your parents were out working. They're doing their thing. They're grinding. And seeing you not liking school, did you muck around? Would you get in trouble? What was the end result of that schooling?
Oh, yeah, I got in trouble a bit. No, nothing serious. Just wagging school, really.
Yeah, just not wanting to be there.
Yeah,
rather than...
so particularly in high school, I used to wag quite a lot.
Yeah.
I remember my geography teacher saying to me, he goes, look, you're such a disruption in class. Why don't you just not be here and I'll make you present?
Oh my God.
So I thought that was a great deal.
That was a great deal. Wow.
That was your
Imagine
first
that.
major deal. That's when you're an 11 out of 10.
This was your first negotiation. So did you have leadership? Like I see in some people, even from a young age, you can tell they're going to go far. They seem to rally people together. They seem to create the idea and the direction. Did you have that strong leadership early, or did you learn that as you went?
I would say not. No.
No.
I sort of figured it out later. I mean, I sort of jumping far forward into the future, but we lived in Papua New Guinea, my wife and I, for 4 years.
Wow.
And when you go there, so I'd just been sort of working for people with no line management responsibility, but I went there, and for every expatriate that came in, you had to employ 50 locals or have them working for you. So all of a sudden I had 50 people working for me. So
Right.
I learned pretty fast there.
Yeah.
Different culture?
Different culture,
different
learned on the job.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was the making of us, really. It was great.
Yeah. That's, just to stick with this timeline, I think it would be good to jump into your first job. Well, so you left school and then you went into like a newspaper. Was it a newspaper or what was the...
Well, no, just absolutely ironically, I went to teachers college.
Oh, did you? Work.
So
I
talk
would
us
not
through
have
that.
guessed that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Geography.
My grandfather on my father's side was a school headmaster.
Right.
So he'd had a career in teaching.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really anything to do with it, but it did run in the family. But
Yeah.
in those days, you could get a special bursary for going to teachers college. So you could get a university degree. So I went to get a degree in education, Bachelor of Education, and majoring in psychology.
Yeah.
And you got paid for doing it. In that day, you got a thing called a standard tertiary bursary, which gave you $13 a week. And for going to teachers college, and you could still end up with a degree, they gave you $20 a week. So it was quite a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you turned 20, it went up to $70 a week. So it was much more than the standard bursary.
Yeah.
So I'd gone to seventh form of school and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
somehow made it through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an incentive.
So already you're kind of scheming the system. Not,
Well, I was. Well, I thought it was a good plan. You got lots of holidays as a teacher.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure the teachers watching or listening to this are going to
Yeah.
oh, no, it's really hard
We're at a
work. but-
Teachers' Day tomorrow that they've got over a
the
long
teacher
weekend, which
only
is
day.
crazy.
Kids
Yeah,
are at
but
home.
anyway, it sounded good to me. And
Yeah.
it's mainly girls who go to teachers' college. So there's 7 girls to every 1 guy. So I thought,
Oh, not a bad
increases your
ratio.
chances of success.
Oh, that's cool.
I like this thinking. So right from kind of teenage days, it's not just okay, I'm going to go into this next thing or that looks cool or whatever. There is this sort of almost, I guess, for lack of a better term, blue sky thinking or out of the box thinking or beyond the initial layer thinking where you're going, how is this going to benefit? And you're almost doing like cost benefit analysis of how, but the benefit has to be very high in your favor for you to go forward, even to doing something like a teacher's college thing. Would that be a fair assessment as to your whole, ethos on life?
Well, I always like to make money. It's kind of, I guess, the lens that I look through.
Yeah.
On most things. I mean, the other thing in those sort of jobs, you do get a lot of holidays. And my father was in construction, road construction, civil engineering. So I used to go and work for him on my holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're making more money.
So I was
even in the
making more
holidays.
money, yeah. And you'd make a lot of money doing that. I ended up as a roller driver
Yep.
on the road building. And you'd work really long hours, like
Yeah.
7 days a week when it was sunny.
Yep.
And I could make another, $300-400 a week because you get time and a half, double time, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week sort of thing. And at Christmas you had, 8-10 weeks holiday. So
Yeah.
it really boost up the coffers. Yeah.
So money's always been the driver, pretty much.
Well,
Kinda.
not money per se, but the things you can do with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
the lifestyle you want, the things
Yeah.
you need, things you want, the nice
Yeah,
shiny
I've
things.
always
yeah.
wanted stuff, yeah. But, well, later in life, obviously you've got to provide for your family and buy a
Yeah.
house and all those things that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a necessity.
So when did you start to take risks in business? Because, you jumped into different businesses and you've turned them around and you've sold them on. And can you talk to when did that come in? With confidence as you matured a little bit? Or was it, a lucky break you had? When did you get your first sort of taking a risk on a business model or investing in yourself or backing yourself?
Well, I guess people will know, a lot of people know who Eric Watson was.
Mm.
So I used to work for Xerox, and that was a long time ago. But he was my boss there. So he's roughly, I think he's a year younger than me actually, but roughly the same age. And I went in there and worked for him. So I got a job as a sales manager after we worked in P&G. The reason we come back is I got a call from Xerox actually saying we're looking for a sales manager in Hamilton, and if you want to come back to New Zealand, we'll give it to you.
Wow.
So I thought that was quite cool. I got headhunted.
Nice
that's a nice
feeling.
feeling.
So I came back and had some interviews and stuff, and ended up taking that job. And Eric was my boss, so I got to know him pretty well and got quite friendly with each other. And then he left Xerox and he went and bought a company called Blue Star, and it was a similar sort of company to Xerox, sold office products and office equipment. And I left Xerox also and went and worked at Telecom. Anyway, one day Eric just rang me up and he goes, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm in my own business now, and I've got these big plans, and why don't you come and work with me? And we always got on pretty well. Sort of in a lot of ways similar sort of people. And so I went and saw him, and he was much smarter in business than I was. I knew how to work for someone else, but not run my own business.
Sure.
And he said, come work with me. And he goes, we're turning over 12 million now, which, in 12 million is a lot of money, but especially then. But he said, I think, we could make this $100 million business or even $1 billion business.
Wow.
Come and work with me. And I said, maybe. And he goes, well, look, buy some shares. We could be business partners.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I haven't really got any money. And he goes, what have you got, assets? Sell them. And we'd sort of scrounged our way we had a house in Tekapuna, and I had a nice car. I had an E-Type Jag, which I absolutely loved. And we had a block of flats in Hamilton, and we were just going down that sort of route of gradually accumulating.
What your parents had kind of done previously, right?
That's pretty much, what lots of Kiwis do, really.
Yeah.
And he said, well, sell all that and come work for me. And I sort of thought, well, that's a big call. Like we had a baby on the way, our first son. So, it's kind of a worrying time.
Wow.
But anyway, I went home and talked to Donna about it, and she really liked Eric, and she said, well, we want to get ahead, don't we? We're still quite young. So, if it all goes wrong, we can start again.
Wow.
So, maybe we should have a crack. So
oh my gosh.
we sold everything. Like I sold my car. We had no money, and I had to have a car, so I went and leased a car. So literally, like, had our clothes, like pots and pans and things, but no real assets at all. And just put all the money into Blue Star. So that was like a mega risk, and looking back, it was a really, really stupid thing to do.
But looking back at your younger self, would you have advised yourself to do that?
I would have said run a mile too, because the metrics, Eric worked out the valuation.
Yeah.
And the way he worked it out was kind of, I know now it wasn't very much in my favour.
Yeah.
But my fault, I should have gone and got it checked,
Yeah.
So I did it, and the end of that story was very good. We came out very well out of it.
Wow.
And we did indeed turn that company into first $100 million business, then $1 billion business. We got to $1 billion turnover in that business. So
amazing.
it was really big. And you think this is in the 90s too. This is 30 years ago.
Yes. There was a moment there where you were taking on a lot of the work as well, when Eric was overseas. Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, well, sort of the way it worked, it was, a smallish business when we started, but I was on top.
Yeah.
So, and it sort of grew underneath me. So, and I was CEO, but I became CEO of a pretty large business, and we had the speed wobbles big time. Like we'd acquired 56 companies in 3.5 years. And Eric had this habit of, if times were getting tough, he didn't like to work in the business. He was always scheming and strategizing and stuff, and handing me the problems he created.
Sure.
Yeah.
And one day he just said, can't swear on this, can I? But that's exactly what he said.
Bleep.
He said, "F it, I'm out of here," and he'd just gone. And
Really?
like a week later, phone goes, and it's Eric, and he goes, "All our problems are over." He said, "I've sold the company." And he's just like full of crap. So I said to him, yeah. Who did you sell it to?
Yeah.
And he goes, I've sold to US Office Products, a big NASDAQ listed company. I said, well, how much did you get? So I got 100 million. So it sounds like a good deal. I just wouldn't believe. And he was getting really frustrated on the end of the line.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm bringing the guy down next week. So get everything shipshape, because he's not signing the dotted line. So make sure everything's looking real good, and I'm going to get him down here, and I want you to take him on a trip on a helicopter and see Waiheke, and sell him on the benefits of New Zealand. And
wine and dine him.
Yeah. So we did that, and we did indeed sell it for $100 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such an exciting, I mean, what I see is you probably were very much on the ground doing the grind, as you sort of saying before about your parents, and he was kind of here, there, and everywhere, but it worked well because he maybe took kind of the impulsive risks, sort of, and I've got it sold, I've done this, or I believe in this $100 million idea.
Yeah, he had a lot of vision, and he was a very good salesman.
Yeah.
So he was extremely good with people, and sort of pulled people into his orbit and convinced them of things like he'd done with me. Yeah, and he was very good at that, and he just had the big vision all the time.
Did you learn from him?
Oh, heaps. Yeah, I learned what to do and what not to do from him.
What was the biggest, to do and not to do you think?
Well, I think what to do was have a big vision.
Right.
I think I really learned that from him, because it's not normal to think that, I've got the small business that's going to become $100 million business.
Yeah.
In today's money, that's probably saying, I'm going to create this $1 billion business and I'm going to do it in 3 years. You wouldn't believe it, but
sure.
I know now that those things are possible because we've done them.
Yeah.
So you get that big vision. I definitely got that from him. I mean, the things I got not to do from him, I think he just pushed a lot of things too far, and just got on the fringes a bit much, and
in
it
terms
hasn't
of
worked
risks,
for him, that part. Yeah, just too risky, and
over promising, under delivering potentially, or no?
Well, it's more. I mean, it's well known that he ended up in prison, for perjury, just obviously told a few porkies in court and got himself in trouble, and there's a limit, and he went over a line, and he went over that line a few times, I think. So, I've tried really hard not to do anything like that. We're really careful in a financial sense that we dot our I's and cross our T's, and legal sense that, we don't step over any lines.
I'm very fascinated about this big vision goal, because a lot of people have goals. A lot of people have, this is lofty, but what's the key to setting the bigger goal? Or, because I know you talk about that in the book, is get a bigger goal. We'll get to that in a second, but what would be your tip if you're sitting down with somebody, and people watching this at home who have these goals, and they might go, this is actually a pretty lofty goal for me. How do I go? I can't even see what's beyond this lofty goal. What's your tips and tricks for that, do you think?
Well, I think the reason for setting a goal is, if you have a small goal, say I want $1 million business and I want it in 3 years, well, you're going to grow to that goal, but you probably don't have to think that hard or outside the square. But if you say, I want $100 million business in 3 years, you have to think, man, I've got to do something right now. The time, the clock's ticking, and what am I going to do? I'm going to have to do something really different, and do it in a different way, and think about it in a different way. So, it's especially true in business, because small businesses aren't worth much money, but big businesses are worth a lot. Yes. So if you can take a small business, we were talking earlier about Ecoya. Yeah. But, that business turned into, we invested, Ecoya bought a business called Trilogy, and we paid $18 million for that business. So in the context of those times, that was, to us, a smallish business. But we made that 4 times bigger. So we made it, we got that 18 million. Actually, it's not turnover, they were 10 million. So we got the turnover from 10 million to 40 million.
Wow.
And that business went from being worth 18 million to being worth 200 million.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So, it's like an exponential kind of thing. So it's really worth having those goals.
Yes.
You can get scale into something, and it just, if you want to sell for a lot of money, you need to appeal to a corporate, and a corporate's not going to buy something small. So you have to be big. And not that we went out with the intention of selling stuff, but, it's always that's what creates your value when other people want it.
Yeah.
There's more.
It was quite in demand. We were just sort of joking around before, like probably was your biggest buyer of Ecoya candles at one point. And
thank you for that.
yeah, Nick actually just noticed so much about that he wrote a joke about it, which has been really popular as well. Maybe we can show that clip.
I'm learning. That's all I'm doing. That's all I can do. Learning to get scented candles into my life. How good is sandalwood? Just as a scent, always in your house. Like, I'm coming home and I'm going, is that $70? She's like, how did you know it was Ecoya? It's like, oh no, it's good to now know what burning money smells like.
From your first sort of selling of the big business, the $100 million sale, did you have then currency in the game to just go, right, I'll buy that, I'll invest here? And did you just go for it then? Did it unlock a lot of confidence in what you were going to do next?
Well, it did, because I never made that much money till that point.
No.
So all of a sudden you believe you can do it.
Yeah.
And, self-belief counts for a lot, doesn't it?
So there was no imposter syndrome there, though? When sometimes
like
you go,
lucky.
can I do this again?
I think I still have that to some degree,
Wow. Yeah.
But, you look at other people and you go, gee, that person's a lot smarter than me, and I'm doing better. I wonder how that is. But no, that story, we got extra lucky with that $100 million deal for Blue Star, because when we sold it, we did a deal. It was a share swap. So we ended up with a whole lot of shares in US office products, and they had a lockup on us, so we couldn't sell the shares. And of course, the worry is the value of those shares goes down, and you get a lesser price for the business.
Yeah.
But in the 6 months we had the lockup, the price of their shares doubled. So we effectively got $200 million for it. So,
What?
so I'd like way more than it never really had spare money, and then all of a sudden I had some. But we sort of did the sensible things, like I bought a Porsche.
As you would.
No, the sensible things like paying off the house. We did that.
Yeah,
right.
What a dream.
Yeah, it was pretty cool when it's hard to imagine that when you've got a 20 or 30 year mortgage, you can actually just have a freehold house.
Amazing. And I'm thinking about your wife, Donna, and her decision to back your decision back then to sell the flats and the house and the car. Well, that would have been a nice payday as well for her as well, to go, yes, this was a great decision we made together. A nice feeling to have that egg nest sort of taken care of.
It was relief, really, because
nest egg.
Well, you had some money, but plus I worked a lot of hours. So I used to have this thing of, be the first in the office because I could see when everyone else arrived, and be the last out at night. And that involved you being there at 7 in the morning. I used to arrive at 7 in the morning. I wouldn't leave till 7 at night.
Right.
And, there's no slackers in there because I was there.
You were
right?
there.
Yeah. So, you do that and you're just busy all the time and you don't see your family or anything. And then you go from, I'm cashed out of here. I don't actually have to do anything, possibly ever.
Yeah.
if I'd wanted to, I could have just said, just wind it up and that'll be job done.
That I want to speak to that too. I think, but going, because that's the great side of it. But there was a couple of weeks there when Eric was overseas, and I want to talk to this, and I always get this wrong. It's the what is it called? The creditors? What was it?
Oh, Credit Watch.
The Credit Watch.
Yeah.
Talk to that, because I want to know I want to talk to that emotion that you were feeling with that, especially with Donna as well. So explain what was happening and what that time of your life was.
Well, it was like exactly the same time Eric disappeared overseas. So we'd had, for a few months, we'd had a guy from our bank in because we were just so stretched and we couldn't really pay any of our bills on time or anything. We're on shaky ground, and we're quite a big business. And we owed the bank, I think it was about $15 million in those days, something like that.
Wow.
And so they said, look, we're going to keep a closer eye on you. So they sent a guy in who worked for the bank, and he was sitting in our office. And in those days, you paid by check. And, we weren't allowed to sign a check without his say-so. We couldn't pay anyone anything without him saying so. So it was a pretty heavy time.
Really heavy time. And he was sitting in your office, and Eric's gone.
Yeah.
You're there, and it's like a 2-week period where you're there, don't know what's happening. You don't know that what Eric's is doing over there. You're on credit watch and you're going home to Donna after investing everything. What can you talk to that time and what the emotions were there? And did you talk to Donna about that, or was that something you kept to yourself?
I wouldn't have talked to her about that because you know, she loves being a mum and looking after the kids and those sort of things, and it's what she wanted to do, and it's what I wanted her to do as well.
Yeah.
So when we first met, you know, she used to have a job like everyone else, but yeah, over time we decided that's the way we bring up our family, have a full-time mum there.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell her too much about that, just let her do her job. And, you know, if I had told her, she would have been mega stressed and not sleeping, all those sort of things. So
Yes.
as much as possible, I kept it to myself, really.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
But
pressure.
what were you going through that time? Can you remember that? Can you remember your...
I was just like 100% stressed all the
Yeah.
time. Like I got really high blood pressure. It's never gone away either.
I was going to say, does it take its toll on your health? That's sort of high pressure.
Oh, I think for sure. So you go to a doctor for a checkup. I think I was getting an insurance policy. And I went to the doctor for the checkup and he goes, your blood pressure is like through the roof. And I said, I was only like mid-30s, you know, so I thought, it can't be right, you know. So, and I ended up having this thing on, they monitor you for a week, and it's just this cuff that gives a pattern of your blood pressure.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because they have this graph at the end of the week and they said, what were you doing at this time? And it was all stuff to do with work. You're going into an important meeting or something, your blood pressure spikes.
Wow.
And you have to go on medication for it,
Wow.
which I'm still on. Yes, I never
Really?
got away from it. Yeah.
Wow.
And so then that relief, it's all worked out. It's all...
Well, it's such a good feeling.
Isn't it?
It's an unbelievable feeling because, you know, you want to succeed, but always in the back of your mind, you know, it's going to go wrong. You know, and it was so close to going wrong.
I know the feeling of selling a business. It's quite involved. There's a lot of plates spinning in the air until the deal is signed.
Yeah.
And it is a euphoric feeling that it's sold. It's like something you created is then sold. Someone believed in it and bought it. And then there's this space of what's next.
Yeah.
So what did you do next? You could have retired, it sounds like, but you didn't.
Yeah, we would have had enough money to retire then because I think that was like 1996 or something. So, you know, 14, well, it's a lot of money now,
It's
but
a lot of money
it was
now.
a lot more then. You know? So,
yeah,
it was probably like in today's money, 50 million or something. So, you know, you could have just.
So after a little bit of time, you know, twiddling your thumbs or doing some enjoyment things, you decided to get back in and carry on, do more work and build another business.
I sort of thought I'd like to start my own thing, you know, make it my own thing.
Right.
Which I didn't totally do, but I started a business with another guy, and we went 70-30 in the business. So I had 70, he had 30. And the deal was I was going to do what Eric used to do, so be outside the business and cruise around talking to people.
Yeah.
Going on holiday.
Go on holiday. And make my partner do all the work.
Yeah.
But didn't quite work out like that.
Now, what business was this?
It was a business called Ecoya.
Okay.
So we started off by selling, so it's in the days, because I'd come from telecom, so I had a lot of knowledge about that industry. And they had all these smartphone services. So they had things like faxability. So if you had a fax machine, you know, you could have the fax on your telephone line as well as used as a telephone line or call waiting. They were all brand new things at that time. Yeah, and telecom paid pretty handsome commissions because they wanted that stuff to go out there. So we got a license as a telecom dealer and just went out selling stuff on behalf of telecom.
Right.
And then that sort of morphed into other things.
So did that business go well? Or
it did go. It
went okay?
It was, to be honest, it was pretty tough in the beginning for a while.
Yeah.
For a while, I sort of thought we weren't going to make it in that business. It wouldn't have been the end of the world because we had reserves at that stage.
Sure.
But, yeah, I remember once I said to Don, I had the Porsche, and so I might have to sell that car, you know, and put that money in the business because I didn't want to get any debt or anything.
Right.
And she said, no way you're doing that. You know, what are people going to say? I think you're a loser. So you get in there and make it work. So, okay. So,
wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I spent a bit more time on it and, you know, we started to get the hang of what we were doing. And
then you being on that tools again, turned it around.
And then we got some other products in too. So with the enhanced services, we started selling FPOS machines.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because they obviously plug into the telephone network.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of a good fit. And every time you sold one, you sold an enhanced service.
Yeah.
And started to learn a little bit about finance at that time too, because we were financing the FPOS terminals.
Was there any times where you thought, I'm out? I'm you know, because a lot of the times where you hear people and they go, I was about to give up, but then I did this one last thing, and then it pushed through. But you don't really hear of the positive stories of giving up when it's good for you. Did you ever have those feelings, or no?
Well, I definitely had those feelings. You know,
for sure.
Why am I doing this to myself? But I'm kind of not a quitter. You know, so
right.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was going to exhaust every avenue and make it right, even when you thought it couldn't be. But,
really interesting. So 42 Below was next. When did that
well,
come
in between those two things, it was the Netco business. Really, it was that entity. We bought a company called Empower.
Yeah.
So it was when the electricity market was deregulating, and private people could sell electricity. So you could buy it off a generator, rent the lines and pump it down the lines. So alternative to the standard guys like Mercury that used to be in those days.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So a couple of guys who, funnily enough, Eric introduced me to, had set up a power company, and they'd done all the things like got a contract with Contact Energy. They'd done deals with the lines companies. One of them was a lawyer and one was an engineer, so they technically had quite a well set up company, but they had very few customers. So they'd spent all this money on sort of creating the perfect engine or the perfect vehicle, but they had no customers, and so we ended up investing some money in that.
Yeah.
And really blew it up. So it ended up as a pretty big business. We ended up with 150,000 customers. Yeah. And we're signing them at the rate of 1,000 customers a week. So
wow.
This is
we got the big gold thing going again.
Yeah.
This is fascinating to me because I watched the documentary, or I think it was the movie BlackBerry.
Oh yes, yeah.
And so that you were experiencing that, maybe not in BlackBerry terms, but pretty close in terms of exponential growth, thousands,
1,000 a week.
Speed wobbles is a great term. But then when do you get out? Like how? Like they sort of stayed in. There was one guy that got out, and there was another guy that stayed in, and it was kind of like, Do you know? Can you sense when it's time to move on or time to sell up? Or is that always the goal from the get-go to get out?
Once again, no, not really. We've always thought of things long-term, really. Like it's just, I don't know, don't want to spend your whole life building a business and then when you're really old, it's paying off for you. You kind of want it.
Yeah.
That song is the Queen song. I want it all and I want it now.
Yeah.
The theme song. Yeah. So we just wanted to make them as big as possible, as quick as possible. It didn't mean we wanted to sell them. We just wanted a good business.
Yeah.
But in that particular case, so Contact Energy's, well, they own retail customers, but their main business is electricity generation. And we started being kind of the tail wagging the dog because we ended up with 150,000 customers. And it was about, I think at that time, it was about 10% of all the electricity in New Zealand we were providing. So we were kind of just the middleman, really. But Contact was like, whoa, what if these guys left and went to Meridian or something? We'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So strategically, they kind of, their hand was forced a bit to buy us. So they approached us and said, maybe we buy it off you.
Yeah. I think, can we talk to 42 Below?
Sure.
Because that's the Kiwi, I remember being overseas when that was all going off. And it was this Kiwi vodka that kind of came from nowhere really, but then became this big sort of international thing.
Yeah, big brand.
Can you start from when was it Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
Jeff, yeah. When you met Jeff and how that came about, because he sold it to some celebrity or something. That's how you heard of him?
Yeah, it wasn't actually how I heard of him. We'd had a guy working for us as a salesman, and Jeff used to run DDB advertising. So he was the boss, CEO of DDB. But his spare time thing was making vodka in his garage. And he'd made it, in sort of small batches. But he managed to sell some to Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw somehow. Because it had in the early days, 42 was like a long tall bottle and had white writing on it.
Yeah.
And the Spielbergs were having a white party. And so somehow they'd found 42 Below and bought it.
Wow.
And so after I met him, after he'd been introduced to me, that sort of happened around that same time. And but it was a claim to fame, and he sort of advertised that.
Right.
And the Spielbergs were really pissed, like, we're never going to deal with you again.
Oh, really?
You're not supposed to be telling people what we're doing.
Yeah, okay. No.
But it sort of just gave it a kickstart, really, the whole thing. So I got talking to Jeff, and he's very good marketing guy, and had really thought it through why vodka is a good idea to come from New Zealand, because it comes from pristine environment. So you get it from Sweden or Russia. I don't know how pristine that is, but just place where there's pure air and pure water and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
And he said, well, it's New Zealand, isn't it? Why can't I do it here? So that was kind of his strategy.
Right.
And why he called it 42 below, because it was the 42nd parallel, which apparently is the cleanest air in the world, which is just below Wellington.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't even know that. That's where that came from.
Yeah, that's where that concept came from. So
yeah.
I mean, it all sounded pretty cool, and we'd always tried to be in businesses. What you're saying about the yoga studio, how can you expand? In New Zealand, it's quite hard unless you're in a big industry.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, hell, the world drinks vodka, and the more we looked into it, in spirits, it's the biggest drink in the world.
Yes.
And particularly in the US, and the numbers were just massive.
Really,
millions and millions of cases being sold in the US.
Yeah.
So we got talking, and he didn't have the capital to put into it, and we had some capital. So we did a pretty hard deal on Jeff at the time. We said, well, we'll put $2 million into it, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to loan it to you, and you're going to put it in, and we're going to have 51% of the business. So it was a bit of a tough deal, kind of sort of thing Eric did to me in the old days. So one of the things I learned there.
Yeah.
Be quite tough on stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny looking back, because Jeff and I are good friends now, and you see, yeah, you did it, but understand why.
So how that works is you put up the front money up front.
Yeah.
You take 51% of the business, but then as the business grows, he pays that back, and then from that, then you guys start making the 49.51.
Yeah, well, we got it all done up front. He basically owed us $2 million, and
straight away.
Yeah, we had 51, he had 49.
Wow.
And that money went into the business, and when we sold, he paid that money back.
Right, and so that's where that holding fee. Interesting. So you didn't actually have to put anything. Well, you did have to put stuff in, but it was just I'm putting it into that bank account.
Well, I think the reasoning was really is to, make him focus. Like, I didn't know him very well at the time, so thought, mate, you're all in here. It's got to work.
Yes.
We used to tell a story about, the Vikings when they were out pillaging. They'd go on the shore and burn their boats. There was no turning back. So we were looking for that sort of environment for Jeff.
Yeah, that burning the boats. And when you first came into it, what was he doing? He said he was selling it in
he was selling about 500 cases a year. So that's 500 dozen vodka. From a startup.
Yeah.
He was doing quite well.
Yeah.
But that's not a business of any value really. And we thought, we want to blow it up, make it big.
Yeah.
And in one of those very early meetings, I said, what do you want to achieve? Where are you going? And he sort of saying, 1,000 cases, or I don't remember exactly, but not a overly aspirational goal.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, it's infamous in our circles. I said, get a proper goal, Jeff.
Yeah.
And so that's where we went, and we figured, how do we make it really big?
Yeah.
And what do we have to do?
So do you sit down with him and make that goal, or do you get him to take the goal? Like how does that work?
Well, as time went on, I think we became very sort of collaborative. So it started with me trying to tell him what to do,
right,
and him not paying that much attention to it, or some attention, but not a lot. But we came to recognise each other's skills and how we could work together, and two heads are better than one sort of thing, and started to work together. So there was a lot of joint planning and that sort of thing.
It's a stressful time again. You've kind of been redlining it for a long time, and that took its toll on on you. Do you want to talk to that moment towards the end of 42 Below and the selling of that?
I guess it goes back to almost a high blood pressure story. You just get on this edge, and you're just like permanently stressed. I mean, I think I still am. You almost develop, I don't know, you just become like that. So you just find it impossible to relax. I'm still like that. But anyway, to answer your question, at that time I got diagnosed with bowel cancer.
Wow.
And if we were talking about resilience before, like other things, I always think there's a way out. No matter how big the problem is, we can work this out somehow. But someone tells you got cancer, you're thinking, oh shit, like this is a big problem, and lots of people don't work that out.
Yeah.
And the penalty of not working is you're dead, so that was mega stressful and sort of unbelievable really.
Was it early diagnosis? Was it early detected?
I don't think overly early, but like just. So I was stage 3.
Okay.
So it hadn't, like I had 48 lymph nodes taken out.
Wow.
So, you know, it wasn't the worst prognosis, but it sure wasn't the best. Yeah. So, yeah, I was sorry, without going into all the gory details, just a few things I was lucky with that just, you know, precisely where the cancer was and that sort of thing,
Right.
you know, made it more operable and those sort of things. So,
and at that point, were you kind of forced to step back and take it easy? Did you still try and answer emails and keep going?
I'd say for all but about a couple, probably 2 or 3 weeks, I just kept going. But I was doing chemotherapy, and I did 6 months of chemo, and I'd found out this thing that there was like 2 regimes of chemo you can have for bowel cancer, or at that time, I'm not sure now, but I had, you could sort of do one or the other, but they said, well, you can do the 2 at the same time, but it really smacks you about.
Wow.
And one, you're taking a pill every day, and the other one, you were getting, you know, intravenous chemotherapy. And so I did both at the same time, and which would be my nature, you know, just go full noise on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also went to osteopaths, and you know, anything you could do.
Threw everything at it.
I just threw absolutely everything you could do at it, and at the end of that chemo, I got really crook from the chemo, not the cancer. And I went to the specialist, and he goes, "We might take you off that now. You know, like your liver's going and all this sort of stuff from just doing too much."
Wow.
So, but obviously I'm still here, so I got through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really, really difficult thing, you know. But I just thought, well, you can either kind of accept it. The weirdest thing of all, my father died of bowel cancer, and he was still alive at that time. And after my diagnosis, he died about 3 weeks later.
Oh.
So it made it sort of doubly tough, because you can see, you know, what can happen. But he was the opposite to me. He had chemo once, said, "Oh, I didn't like that," and never went again. You know, and I was just the complete opposite. I'm having a crack at everything.
Yeah. But you were doing deals. Didn't you do the deal for 42 Below to sell it to Bacardi, was it?
I sort of started it. We sold to Bacardi. I started it. I didn't finish it because my whole chemo went over the period of those negotiations. So the very, very first meeting we had, I had the meeting on the day I'd had first meeting with Bacardi. I had chemo in the morning and met Bacardi in the afternoon.
Wow.
But it wasn't. The first
You didn't
chemo,
tell them that was what was happening?
No.
Wow.
No. So I didn't feel that good, but chemo is sort of cumulative thing.
Yeah.
So, if the longer you go, the worse it is. It's just on top of treatment, on top of treatment, on top of treatment sort of thing.
Sure.
So, and by the end of it, I just wasn't up to it really. So, Jeff stood at the breach for those last negotiations.
Oh, good on Jeff. Yeah.
And then you get all this. It's a thing, isn't it? Because you've done, you know, enough money to retire, enough money to not do anything. This happens. Were you kind of? Was there ever a "woe is me"? Was there ever, you know, what? Like, I've just made it. Why is this happening?
For sure, I wasn't well pleased. You know, but I mean, there's no benefit in being a victim, is there? Like, it's not going to solve anything. So, you know, I did think, woe is me. Why the hell did this happen to me? It should have happened to someone else. You know, it does happen to someone else. I never thought it was going to happen to me.
What pulled you back? Because this whole show, this is what we're kind of driving towards. Is sometimes it's about standing up again. It's about if you fall over 8 times, get up 9. But what happens if you fall over 10, or if you're just on that verge of giving up, or what have you? Can you pinpoint something that got you through that "woe is me" or that not falling into victim mentality?
Oh, there's probably a bunch of things. I mean, I think one of them was looking to the future. So, cars is my passion. So, I decided at that time, I was 48. I decided I was quite old. So maybe I need a Bentley now. So I found this Bentley Azure, which is a big convertible Bentley like you see on the Riviera. Yeah. And I thought, I'm going to have one of those at the end of this. So I put it on the inside of my wardrobe door, the picture of it. Every day, open the wardrobe door, there's the picture. So I sort of, it gives you hope for the future and believe that the future is going to be good.
Yeah.
I think there's a part of it. But then the other part is kind of looking back, because we all have stuff in our lives that, stuff goes wrong and you think it's the worst possible thing and you'll never get over it. I can remember my first car, for instance, is a story that I thought was the end of the world. my father helped me buy it, loaned me money. As I said before, they never gave you anything.
Yeah.
So he loaned me the money to buy the car, to work every night after school to get the money to pay him back. And I thought I was a pretty gun driver. And I went out with one of my mates and we were doing big drifts out on the back roads and I rolled it. And, I owed my father money and I had to, we lived in Hamilton at the time and I had to ring my parents and say I rolled the car. And honestly, it was just so traumatic. I thought my life is over. And yet now I look back and I think it's quite funny, quite a good story, But at the time, you just thought it was the most terrible thing that could happen to you.
Yeah.
Because I had no money. I wrecked my car. I still owed my father the money for it.
Yes.
I was going to have to do twice as much work. And I just thought, I'm screwed,
Yeah.
But so I think, there's lots of things like that where you think, how the hell am I ever going to get over this? But you do. And I think it's, in some ways, it's quite good to look back, because you think there's a learning in everything, isn't there? And, something you can take out of it.
Yes.
Definitely.
And there's, some things you can't get over, but you can still go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to reflect back and to see how far you've come each step of the way. I think it's a really powerful tool to do that because it can really help you out of a stuck moment in the current time because you think back on all the times maybe it wasn't so challenging as, say, perhaps going through bowel cancer, but you remind yourself of how strong you are to come through each time you've had that before. Yeah,
I've never heard that actually. I've heard of goals going forward, but I've never at the same time going for to help you in the present. I need to have a goal for the future, but also to look back at how far I've come, and then in the middle you go, actually, let's do it. I've never heard that. That's fantastic. So we've got 42 Below Ecoya candles. Can I just say, why don't you just be traveling around and following Liam Lawson? Because you support Liam Lawson, you're giving back as well, which is another thing. Is this a part of going through your journey now and helping others as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, we've always been, reasonable givers to charity. I think, we do a bit there. But my favourite book is a book called Atlas Shrugged, written by a woman called Ayn Rand.
Okay. Oh, yes.
I'll probably get a whole lot of hate for saying that, but it's very, very, very right wing.
Yeah.
But her sort of philosophy was, if you're going to give to charity, give it to someone who can, really be something. If you had a beggar on the street who was never going to be anything, a poor busker, but who was brilliant at playing the violin.
Yes.
The violin players who you should give the money to because they're sort of helping humanity go forward and, rewarding something great or developing something great.
Yeah.
So, we've done a bit of traditional charity stuff, but I've sort of thought of that with people like Liam, I like motor racing. And I always thought when I was young I'd like to be a Formula One driver, but that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I've helped quite a few guys out who are young racing drivers and, a few that are reasonably well known. But the last one I helped out, when I didn't even want to do it really, I just thought I've thrown a whole lot of money at that and, we haven't got too much out of it.
Yeah.
But I met Liam and I don't know, he's a very good driver, but he had, you sort of need to be the complete package to be good at something. So he's very good in front of a camera, very good speaker. People liked him, he's personable. He had other strings to his blows. To his bow, he's a good musician, can sing, play guitar, all that sort of stuff.
All right, interesting.
And I just sort of thought, we started off quite small, just paid a couple of airfares for him and that sort of thing to get him to races.
Yeah.
But as he went on, it just sort of developed and, all of a sudden it became really big and getting bigger all the time. I mean, I was talking to him last night on the phone for a while and, he's living in Monaco and we're talking about the last Formula One race in Canada and you think, man, this is not so long ago, a kid who couldn't afford an airfare to Australia.
Yeah.
And you just think, man, it's incredible that he got that.
Yeah.
And, there's nothing in it for me other than pride. I got no financial interest or anything, although we did give him a bit of money, but, never look for anything back from it.
It seems like every single thing that's in your life starts from this really humble beginning, then to this, what's the best thing that could happen? And then you drive towards that. Like even when you give even your charity giving ends up being in a Formula One success story.
Yeah, that is honestly the most weird one because, some of the business things are good, but the chances of getting a driver to Formula One are just so slim. You know, it's such rarefied air to get there. There's only 22 drivers in the world.
Yeah.
And to get someone to the standard where they've got a super license, you have to have a super license to race in F1.
Yeah.
And it's like a points-based system, and you have to do so much racing just to pay for that racing.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say today you're talking 15 million euros to get someone there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so much money, and you get the super license and never get a drive.
Yeah.
But, you know, just the way that panned out, there was a lot of bad things happened along the way, but fortunately more good things than bad things.
Yeah.
You know, he got in that Red Bull Academy, which was major.
Yeah.
So fast cars, not slow cars. Like, you know, to collect anything, you've chosen fast cars. Can you tell us about your amazing car collection?
Well, it's not big enough.
No, it's not big enough.
I was just saying to Donna this morning, I've got a man cave or a lockup where I keep the cars, and I can fit about 10 cars in there, and we've got a 6-car garage at home, so that's my limit to how many cars I have. I was saying to Donna, I need a bigger lockup. She said, no way, I know what'll happen if you get a bigger one.
Yeah.
We'll just spend more money on cars.
Yeah.
So, no, I've just always been passionate about cars.
Yeah. What's your favourite car?
Well, my favourite brand of car is Ferrari for sure. So I've had or driven just about every type of car there is. I was keeping count and I sort of stopped at 180, but I've had a lot of cars.
Yeah.
So, but I like the Ferrari brand. I think it's the pinnacle, and I like fast sports cars.
Yeah.
I like driving fast, and you know, doing all the things that the teenage boys like doing. I still like doing.
They're still doing it. Let's talk about your book. Any things that surprised you about writing the book?
Well, the thing that surprised me the most are people are buying it and reading it. So
it's selling
but
well.
it's sold out. It's hard to get a copy now.
Yeah, it's like basically everyone who had it sold out, and they're on reorders and stuff. So I'm really surprised at that. You know, I hoped that it would go all right, obviously, but
that's a dream.
but it's gone way better than I thought.
Do you want to think it is though, Grant? I think, and this is what it's fascinating to chat to you, because we all think that we're positive and we all think that we are, you know, go-getters, but it's like another level. Like, it's almost like everything that you touch has got this Midas touch and this kind of nonchalant, even sitting with you now, it's kind of like, oh yeah, we shrugged our shoulders and we did this. But I know that there's so much work ethic and there's so much risk, and there's so much going all
sleepless nights,
blood pressure, turning up each day when you are physically, you don't know if this is going to be your last day on earth, and you're still doing deals. And I think people want to tap into that, and they want to like tap into that energy and tap into where does that come from, and then how can I
apply it to my own life?
Emulate that. I think that's why people want to read your book and to talk to you. Do you get that, or do you just sort of thinking, oh no, I've got to focus on my next job, next business?
I don't know. I just can't stop sort of thinking of opportunities. So, like, I like doing business and like doing deals, and I just think of the angles and everything. So whenever we're on holiday, you know, like everywhere we go on holiday, I'd like to live here. I wonder what the real estate prices are like. What would a business cost? You know, I just automatically think all those things. Yeah. And I've wanted to live just about everywhere on earth where we have a holiday. You know, I think I'd like to spend some time here. Maybe we could buy a house. And
I do that too, actually.
Do you?
Of south of France, I could see myself here.
Well, we just need to get to that level of, you know, the business side of it, making the money side of it, rather than just
But I think it's.
But it's good, right? Because if you think you want a house in the south of France, they don't come cheap. So you think maybe I better pull a finger.
That's right.
Find a way to do that.
Yeah.
Like we always liked the idea of Beverly Hills, so we bought a house there.
Oh, did you?
We've since sold it, but we had a house there for 4 or 5 years. 90210.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
You literally had the 90210.
Yeah, it's the attitude of why not, and I think that is inviting possibility and just absolutely going for your full potential, the full engine of your potential, like Ferrari. That's so cool.
What is your book is about this, without giving away spoiler alerts, but I think people would still buy the book even if they found out this little bit of information. What is the art of going all in?
Well, I mean, it's interesting what you said about potential, because I think I'm far from having achieved my full potential. I definitely could have done better, you know, made lots of mistakes along the way. We're only talking about the good stuff, you know.
Yeah, we're only highlighting that.
You know, you have way more problems than you have good results. You just got to make the good results outweigh the bad ones, really, the problems.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's just, I mean, for me, what's probably driven me is, once we got to the stage we had a house and, our sort of personal life was pretty good and it was going to be good no matter what, I just think about cars really and think, what's the next car I can have?
Yeah, because that's your joy. It's your joy. For all the hard work, it's the result of you having joy. And we each have joy in different areas, don't we? And that is your thing. And that's a cool thing to be involved in.
Yeah, right now I'm buying this car, which is reasonably publicised because I was on Hosking the other morning and I mentioned it. But it's costing me $8 million, which is a lot of money for a car, right?
Yeah.
A lot of money anyway.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, well, that's going to stop me in my tracks for a while because it's so much money. So I'm thinking, well, I know there's other things coming up from Ferrari that I want. And we have this business called Me Today, which is a supplement business.
Yeah.
And it was a startup and it's been very hard work. We started up in 2019, but it's just sort of starting to get some traction probably in the last year now.
Sure.
Great.
Starting to get some scale in it.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking, how can we blow that up? Because that might get me my next car.
That's
the
So it's
incentive.
definitely, and it's worked the other way a few times. A few times we've sold things to, put money into stuff or
To
get a bit shorter
supplement the
money.
thing. Yeah, I can see why Don is so reluctant to getting this lockup now because
Yeah.
your one more car is another couple of businesses.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, weirdly enough, because I've been in Ferraris, the top end of Ferraris, they're not a depreciating car, they're an appreciating one.
Yeah, wow.
So once again, I never went in with that intention. I just went in because I love the brand and stuff. But you just, you're really lucky. The next new one comes along and you think, how am I going to pay for it? I might have to sell the last one, and you sell it for more than you paid for it. So yeah, it's a good result.
Just a question about leadership. If you were to speak specifically now to leaders, people in business who are in charge of a team, what would your advice be to them, how to lead?
Well, I would say, the way I've done it anyway, I don't know if it's the only way, but be a team.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be I'm the guy who knows everything. Get the right people on board.
Yeah.
Read Steve Jobs' biography, and it was quite interesting. He said we always had the A team. You get the A team, and everything takes care of itself.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you get A people, and then you accidentally get a B or a C person, that person's not going to fit in. They're going to leave anyway. Whereas if you get a lot of B and C graders, they're not going to know an A grader if they tripped over one.
Yeah.
They're going to clash. So yeah, I think it's be a team and have the best people. I mean, I always say get people better than me. There's plenty of people better than me.
Yeah.
Especially if you group it, I mean, I think I've got quite good vision on things, but in terms of execution, I'm never going to be a good accountant. Am I? So you want to get the best accountant, or I'm never going to be a good HR manager. So you get the best HR manager and so on. So
that is, that makes a lot of sense in terms of collaboration. Like I think of myself and probably you too, Nick, very good with ideas, but it's teaming with someone who can like bring it down to matter, like actually execution, as you say, like moving it forward. So yeah, that's a really great advice.
Yeah. I mean, probably the other thing is a common goal. Everyone knows what the goal is.
Yes.
Because what used to drive me nuts when I worked for telecom is, people in their little silos there, Spark now. Well, I've got no idea what it's like now, but in those days, no one was really, obviously at board level, they want a return on assets, they want to make a profit, return on capital and so on.
Sure.
But no one at the cliff face is thinking of that. And the businesses I had, we let everyone know this is what our goals are and you're part of achieving that goal. Yeah.
So even at the people down at the coal face, they know that the goal is to keep or to hit this profit or to sell this many cases, to sell this many candles, or to go get into this country.
Everyone in the company would have known what our goal is and know they're part of it.
Yeah.
And, quite often we did a lot of things. We do it in Turners now where we have a company share scheme and people can, we help people buy shares and, they can have an interest in if the company's doing well, the value of their shares go up and they get a dividend and so on.
That's really good because we've got a friend of ours, I've known since kindergarten, who works in the concreting business and he's worked with them since like 16, 17 and same thing, they've brought him along and now he's got shares in and he is doing so well. He's absolutely killing it.
He drives a great car.
Yeah, you like it. Yeah, you guys will get on well. But how they got him to get their goal to be goal orientated for him was that they got him in with the shares. They knew where he was going, and it's just if we win, you win type mentality.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone will subscribe to that because
No.
you know, some people aren't that ambitious or very risk averse.
Sure.
But I think in terms of our take up on that, I think we've got like 60% of staff in the share scheme.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, which is
That's a big amount.
yeah, it's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, and I think the rest will sort itself out. So we have to wrap up now, Grant. Thank you. This has really been fascinating. We are writing a book ourselves. It's
best of
called.
luck.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It's called. It's basically like a handbook of resilience. So we chat to loads of different people, and they've all sort of given a little bit of advice of what they would do to stand up again. I think you kind of touched on it earlier before, but if you were to put like a nugget of advice of how to stand up again to somebody who would put that in the book, what advice would you give?
There's a Winston Churchill quote, isn't there? It's like never, 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 never give up, you know, and that's it. And, you know, if you do get knocked down the 10th time, still get up again, you know. I mean, it's not a guarantee it's going to work, but, you know, you don't want to die wondering, do you? So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's what my father, for all his faults, he was a trier, you know, and no matter what went wrong, you try again, you know.
Yeah.
So I might have inherited that, but it's what's worked for me anyway.
I love it. That's good. Good advice.
Grant, thank you so much. Your book's out now. It's gonna get it. No pit stops. The art of going all in. Is that?
Yep.
Yes. Got it off the thing. Yeah, but
This
it's
is
out
actually
now.
marking where you're up to when you're reading it.
Yeah. So no pit stops. The business of going all in. We'll put a little link in the description as well. But Grant Baker, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So Grant Baker. Grant Baker, what was your thoughts?
Legend.
Yeah.
Successful, but so calm, and unassuming. You know, you think of like a top level successful businessman, you think perhaps by stereotype, type A and very aggressive nature, but he was really chill. And I think he's surprised at how well he's done in business.
Yeah. He's got this in the room with him. He's got this energy of calmness. He lets you finish. He doesn't overtalk, and you fill in the gaps. So what I get from that is if he was my boss, I would come to him with an idea. He would say very small words back to me. And then to fill the space, I would probably then elaborate too much idea. Or go out and put my hand up to do the work and to go and do the job, where he would go, well, he sort of came up with that idea himself. So he's very, very measured, but
humble beginnings. He didn't get it handed to him. You know, when you think of Donald Trump and the family's empire before him, and you think, oh, I can see how he made business, you know, because he was in that situation. But it sounds like he was exampled hard work.
Yeah.
He knew he had to do it on his own.
Yes. I wanted him to just tell us how to do it.
I know.
I was just like...
Tell me how to have this level of success in business.
If you look back in the interview, I did try and ask that 3 times.
I think I did too.
You were like asking them to sponsor the podcast.
Where did I go wrong in my...
Yeah.
No, because it's interesting. What is your measure? And it sounds like making money was a big measure of his idea of success in the business, or how to grow it.
So what I got from him is that, yes, you have the goal. And I really did like that.
Yeah, get a bigger goal.
Get a bigger goal, but it's almost setting a goal, not for your business, but it's more for your personal life. It's kind of like, what do you want to have? And don't be like, well, I'd like to have that sweatshirt, or I'd like to go on that holiday. It's like, I would like to have this $8 million car. Then how am I going to go? Because then that thinking of, I can't, if I was to get an $8 million car, I cannot do the things that I'm doing right now to do that. So I have to completely think of something else different to do. Of like, how would I even try and get that? And I think when you even start thinking like that, then that's when you can possibly achieve that kind of goal?
I think having financial freedom, just when he said we paid off our mortgage and he bought a Porsche, but it was like, oh, wow, that financial freedom must feel amazing.
So that's, if we want to do that, let's do this now. We want to be financially free. So we need to have X amount of dollars. Let's say we want to have $2 or $3 million in 5 years. Then we have to sort of think to ourselves, how do we do that? How do we think out of the box, out of the, how do we?
Immediately I'm thinking we need to quit comedy and yoga and podcasting.
Yeah. All the things that we're currently doing.
But no, I think it's backing yourself. Like when I keep bringing up my business, it's a very extra small business that I owned, but
it's still the same fundamentals. It
taught me everything. It taught me the business degree that I needed to understand leadership and owning a business and running it. But also when I started out, I was terrified. As we know, I'm afraid of failure. So when you gave me permission to fail at it, I was like, well, all right, I'll give it a go.
Well, I will fail.
I bloody will fail at this. But it was great. Like I had this permission to just try my best and give it a go. And it wasn't like, we'll lose the house if it doesn't work. But I think the bigger goal needs to be, I had my own personal and more spiritual goals of why I wanted to do. The why was there for sure. The values were instilled. But I think his mindset was very much, how can I grow financially from this? Which is possibly, I don't know, that is the secret recipe to success in a business.
Well, off air, and I don't mind saying this, he said concentrate on...
Consistent revenue stream.
Consistent revenue stream.
Making money while you sleep.
Yeah, it's the stuff that, okay, you're only as, like he said, like in sales, we were talking about him, this job is really good. And he goes, yeah, but you're only as good as your last month.
Yeah, you have to keep continuously showing up and beating your best previous months.
So what is something that can continuously... kind of keep feeding itself. And so if we were to sort of think along those lines, but even because as I said to you before, I wanted him to go, this is how you do it. But even if he told me this is how you do it, I don't think I would still be able to get to his level, purely because of that story he told where he said, all right, Eric Watson came to him and said, you've got assets, come in to this business.
That initial risk.
You sell your house and your block of flats that you've worked so hard to get into.
As your wife's about to have her first baby.
And sell your car that you love and come into the business with no success. And he literally said we had clothes. All he had is our clothes. We sold our house. We sold everything to go all in. And then even back asking him the question, would you have done that knowing what you know now? And he said no, because the numbers were wrong.
Yeah.
And so that going all in is, so you hear of like people who do this with poker and at the casino, and they go all in and they win. And they've took that risk, but it's high risk, high reward. But I don't think people talk too much about the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, as with the family, with the wife and children,
that is a fear. But I think I feel now, after talking to him, like, just go for it.
Okay.
Just go for it. No, right. And I think, like, why not? We're going out in this project we're working on for humanity. We want to share all these amazing conversations we're having that are inspiring not just us, each other, but we want to inspire others and to back ourselves. And so if you would like to sponsor our show, please get in touch.
There we go.
But I think it inspires people, right? It inspires me. I feel like it's activated that leadership and business mindset in myself. And even if that's just collecting more feijoas at the bottom of the garden and selling them, why not?
But that's honestly great, because then it's, do you know what it's done? It's awakened me.
Yeah.
It's got me out of a slumber, because it's like, no one's going to come in and go, do you want this job that's $300,000 or $400,000 a year?
Maybe. Well,
but then that's whatever, that's fine, that's okay. But then you're a slave to that person, and then they might go, okay, for the next 30 years we own you, or whatever the thing is. But it's awakened me to go, all right, well, if you want this life, you want this goal, you want this to be mortgage free, and you want it by this time,
And a house in the south of France.
and a house in the south of France, then how the heck, with the current things that you're doing, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
And then if you can't do it with that, all right, then so we're very good at coming up with ideas, which we are. We're very good at coming up with ideas. So then what is the idea?
Yeah.
And then backing yourself to go, let's go.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm inspired. I'm just talking to you now.
I know. I was just thinking, would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So this is interesting. So when I was in England and I came back and I was doing stand-up comedy and I'd just been fired from Heart Radio in London. I was working on the Heart Breakfast Show with Emma Bunton and Jamie Theakston, and I got fired because the vision that I had for the show was different to what they wanted to do. And then so I got let go. My confidence was knocked from that, and I was doing comedy at the time, so I was just sort of I became a professional comedian by proxy of being fired from the radio gig. But then that made me, but it forced my hand to be a professional comedian. And so when I came back from England to New Zealand, I did all the gigs that there were in New Zealand in about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, and this is the thing, my goal, look at this. My goal was to be a professional comedian. If I stay within this, what I'm currently doing, I cannot financially do this with the current gig situation that there was in New Zealand. So that's when I started up at the time with James Nikise International Stand Up, and then now with my business partner Tara Mahumbai of Laugh Club New Zealand, where I never had the goal to be an entrepreneur, to be a business person, but then started doing pop-up shows. Then we ended up being like Laugh Club Productions, which then became, other bits and pieces. And it's been slowly going on in the background. But no, never. I never thought of myself as that until I was forced to do it. But then now that I'm in it and I've got many revenue streams going in, I feel like that's almost a better way to do it, because whenever times are tough, COVID, that kind of situation, I was able to pivot within that, hemisphere of work and be able to make my own money, and I wasn't reliant on other people. And I think that, I guess, at the moment, I think potentially, that's what we are reliant on. Wars in Iran, whether the budget is a good budget, whether this government, the political party you like is in government. There's so many things that are out of your control. What can you do right now to change the way that you're thinking to get the life that you want, is what I got from Grant Baker.
Yeah.
I'd never thought of that as,
I feel like I've often thought my kind of changing evolution of career path I've taken was a character flaw, but I see that actually it's not. He's tried his hand at lots of different things and it's evolved him to where he is today. And I feel I'll take something from that.
He told us off air that we didn't even get to talk to Turners. He's a shareholder in Turners. Turners,
his biggest success,
is his
probably.
biggest success.
Yes, if you think of all the other things he's told us,
where he made hundreds of millions of dollars. Turners, his latest project, is his biggest success, which is the car dealership in New Zealand, sells secondhand cars, but in an auction setting. And I think he said the numbers, that it's like $1 million a day that it turns over.
I can't even recall. It was outrageously amazing.
But why I'm saying that is because all of these success stories and the failures have still leading to his greater thing. And because he's going, you know what? I want an $8 million car. It's going to set me back a lot. How am I going to do that? If my current revenue stream, I'm not going to be able to do that. His love of cars has kept him working and going. He could have easily retired and done whatever he wanted to do.
Would you retire? If you
Would I retire? I would focus just on comedy, just on stand-up comedy, and I would do these conversations. Yeah, I would do this podcast and then do my own sitcoms and stand-up and those kind of things. That's what I would concentrate on. so that means that I love it.
Yeah, I think I'd still teach yoga.
Yeah.
I think I'd
have a lot more holidays.
I'd go on holiday a lot.
I would be
I'd
writing.
go on holiday. But yeah, that would be a question, wouldn't it, to pose?
All right. So what are we doing then? We've got to.
Okay.
We need to. Come up with some different ideas and go forth and create our own destiny.
Yeah. So let us know if this lit a fire for you.
Yeah.
And tell us what you enjoyed or got out of this episode today. Thank you so much for watching episode today with Grant Baker.